Hey guys, YouTuber100 here. Alright, now here I am with another X-Men review. With my review of X-Men 3 The Last Stand. So this is probably the X-Men movie with the most mixed reception out of all of them. Yeah. Some people have said that this movie is pretty good. Others have called it just kind of okay. And some people have just said that this movie is horrible. Which, that's a huge overstatement, really. I mean, the movie may not really be as good as the other X-Men movies, but it's not horrible. I mean, I still think that this is a pretty enjoyable film. I mean, I still think it's a good movie, just not a great movie, and yeah, it's really not on par with the first two movies, and yeah, I would agree that this is probably the worst X-Men movie out of all of them so far. Yeah, you still have, like, yeah, you still have a lot of the of recurring actors back. You still have Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Ian McKellen, Rebecca Roman, and Anna Paquin, Patrick Stewart. Yeah, I mean, you still have a lot of them returning, and plus you get there's also some new characters involved here. Yeah, yeah, you have all like a lot of recurring X-Men coming back, and you still have like we have some new characters and mutants here too. Have like Beast and the Angel, and we get some more villains. We get like Juggernaut and Multiple Man, Callisto. Oh, oh. So yeah, we do get a lot some more new characters here, but also like just Nightcrawler. He's gone from this. I mean, he was in the previous movie, and here he's just like gone. I mean, they don't even mention him in this movie. I mean, there's just like nothing really explaining what happened to Nightcrawler and where he is in this movie and why he's not back. So yeah. So this movie does kind of have its problems. I mean, one is like the lack of really explaining what happened to Nightcrawler, since like there's no mention of him at all. And also we have like the return of Jean Grey, which is kind of controversial. She's back in this movie and she's kind of going through a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing where she also has her other personality of the Phoenix. And yeah, it just leads to her getting killed once again at the end of this movie, which makes her return to be kind of pointless here. And the Angel's also kind of a pointless character to have in this movie. I mean, just there's really like no reason for him to really be here because nothing really happens with him in this movie. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the movie also does kind of have its problems, things like that. Yeah, and yeah, Bryan Singer didn't return as director for this movie. This movie was under the direction of Brett Ratner, the director of the Rush Hour movies. He's, you know, and yeah, this movie does kind of have some kind of like some sad parts to it. We have the scene with what happens to Mystique in this movie, and we have the deaths in this movie. We have Cyclops, Professor Xavier, and Jean Grey all like dying in this movie. Well, yeah, supposedly dying for Professor Xavier. I'll like touch up on that later. Yeah, and yeah, the X-Men in this movie, they kind of go through like kind of a conflict of which they like start to fall apart, and a lot of them just start just taking off and bailing, and they want to be cured of their powers. Where they get down to a real disadvantage, where there's just a few of them left at the end of this movie, where they battle with Magneto's group. Yeah, And speaking of which, speaking of Magneto, yeah, I think he's becomes the most villainous in this movie of the original X-Men trilogy. And plus, we can finally get to see Magneto with a full army. We get to see the X-Men actually battle with Magneto's full army, not opposed to like the first movie where it's just some of them battling with Magneto and just a few other of his goons, like Sabretooth and Toad and all of them. Yeah, we get to see them actually take on a full army here with Magneto. Oh, yeah. So yeah, the movie it does kind of it does have its problems, and like I said, it is probably the worst X-Men movie so far, but I still do enjoy it for the most part. Yeah, and it's definitely not a horrible movie. I mean, I don't care like how much you may think that this movie may be a disappointment or not as good as the first two movies and the worst X-Men movie so far, but it's not horrible at all. It is still a pretty enjoyable movie. I would probably give this movie really 3 stars out of 4. Yeah, like I said, I do think it's a good movie. Just yeah, it's not really a great movie, but yeah, I still did enjoy it, and I still do think it is still good. So yeah, let me just get right into it. So the movie opens up kind of with a flashback. It goes back 20 years, where Professor Xavier and Eric actually meet Jean Grey when she's still really young. Uh, and it shows them inviting her to join their X-Men Academy, or join their school. And it also shows 10 years after that, it has Warren Worthington, aka the Angel. Well, he's seen by his father trying to actually cut his wings in his back with a knife, which did look kind of like, ugh. Kind of extreme stuff there. Yeah. And it show and then in the not too distant future again, it's shown that Cyclops is still distraught over what happened to Jean Grey, and he just kind of just takes off from the expansion and travels to the resting location of Jean at the Alkali Lake. And while that's going on, there's a bunch of stuff going on where it shows that Beast is like part of a group with the U.S. president. And it shows that they've actually recently captured Mystique and have now imprisoned her. And it's showing that Worthington Labs is actually developing a drug that will actually cure a lot of mutants of their X gene. And the cure is actually being created from a genome of a young mutant Jimmy, aka Leech. And he's actually living in the Worthington facility at Alcatraz Island. And there's actually mutants that are interested in this cure, including Rogue. And there are also like a lot of mutants that really don't like it at all. And it turns out Magneto is also opposed to the cure. And he decides to reestablish the Brotherhood of Mutants. And then he warns all of his followers the cure would be forcefully used to just dispose of the entire mutant race. And yeah, Magneto is like teamed with Pyro and Callisto and a lot of other mutants that are aligning with him. And they also attack Mystique's mobile prison, and they're able to free her, and they also recover Multiple Man and Juggernaut. And at one point, the guard tries to actually shoot Magneto with that actually contains the mutant cure, but Mystique jumps in the way and it hits her and it cures her. But and then Magneto, after Mystique becomes like full human and she's not one of them anymore, he then just decides to abandon her. Then eventually Cyclops arrives at Kali Lake, and he just looks in the water and he starts to like hear Jean Grey's voice. And then it shows Jean appearing. And then she's able to actually pull off Cyclops' glasses and actually prevent him from shooting his beam out of his eyes. And then as they kiss, it then shows Jean actually like disintegrating Cyclops. And Professor Xavier and the other X-Men can actually sense some trouble. And yeah, Professor Xavier sent Wolverine and Storm to Cyclops' location to investigate it. And then when they arrive at the lake, they saw some rocks that were floating telekinetically. Yeah, and they also found Cyclops' glasses floating, and also they saw Jean just out cold. And Jean is eventually brought back to the X-Mansion and unconscious, and Professor Xavier told Wolverine that Jean actually freed the Phoenix personality when she sacrificed herself. Often, Professor Xavier had actually repressed the Phoenix personality because he felt that he was fearing the destructive potential of the Phoenix. And yeah, of course, and Wolverine wasn't happy about what happened with Jean. And after Jean awoke, her and Wolverine actually start to make out. But Wolverine then eventually realizes that Jean has actually changed and she's not the same one he knew. And he also figures out that Jean had actually killed Cyclops. And yeah, when I actually went to see this movie in theaters, I thought maybe that this was just a similar thing, with what happened with Cyclops in the second movie, was that maybe something had just done something to him and he was just still alive somewhere and captured. But no, he actually was really killed here. And then, then the Phoenix persona then emerged in Jean, and she took out Wolverine and bailed to her childhood home. Oh, sorry. Yep. Yeah, and Professor Xavier is able to actually track down Jean and that she's at her parents' house, and Magneto also learned about Jean also. And yeah, Professor Xavier, Wolverine, and Magneto arrived at Jean's old home just as Magneto and his group was there too. And Magneto and Professor Xavier went in by themselves, also to try to talk to Jean, and both of them were like trying to vie for Jean's loyalty. But Magneto was then just kind of manipulating Jean to get her not to go with Professor Xavier. And then then the Phoenix then resurfaced, and then Wolverine and Storm were just all of Magneto's group was just trying to make sure that Wolverine and Storm couldn't get in. And then, yeah, Wolverine and Storm just couldn't take it anymore. And then they battled with Juggernaut, Multiple Man, and all of Magneto's other goons. And then, yeah, it continued throughout the house. And then, and Phoenix then started to raise up the house, and she also rose Professor Xavier, and the two of them were making eye contact, and eventually Professor Xavier just ended up disintegrating and supposedly died, but he didn't. And Jean then just took off with Magneto, and then back at Wolverine and Storm saw that Professor Xavier was gone, and both of them were just devastated by it. Then a funeral was held outside of the mansion with all the X-Men attending, and they had a big tombstone made for Professor Xavier right outside of the mansion too. And after that, then Beast felt that because Professor Xavier being gone, the school should be closed and all the students should be sent home. But Storm said that they were still going to keep the school open and continue to take students. And then, at one point, like, Rogue had actually caught Bobby actually doing stuff with Kitty, aka Shadowcat. Then she just decided to leave and go get the cure. And then the Brotherhood just couldn't take it anymore, and then they just decided to strike down the Worthington Labs. And at the same time, Mystique had actually given in the government a lot of information about the Brotherhood's base in the forest after she was really furious about being betrayed by Magneto. And then, yeah, the government agent forces all gather around the group in the forest, and it turns out that they're all actually just the copies of Multiple Man. And the remaining few X-Men, there was only 6 of them. There was Wolverine, Storm, Beast, Colossus, Iceman, and Kitty. Yeah. They knew that they still had to try to stop the Brotherhood, even if they are very outnumbered. Yeah, and Magneto then moved over the Golden Gate Bridge so they could actually get to Alcatraz and attack Worthington Labs. Oh, wait. Yeah, I haven't really talked too much about the Angel yet. Yeah, going back a bit earlier in this film, as the cure was actually announced, Warren's father tried to actually cure Warren of his X gene. And as they were actually setting Warren up to inject the cure into him, Warren just decided he didn't want to do this, and then he broke free, and we saw the huge angel wings come out of him, and he flew off. And yeah, he also then arrived at the X-Mansion 2, which also made Storm decide to keep the school open. Yeah, so yeah, that's just a little bit talking about Angel, since I haven't really talked about him very much. Yeah, but anyway. Yeah. Then, yeah, the X-Men eventually arrive as their military troops that are trying to stop the attacking mutants. Yeah. And yeah, they all went, like, the X-Men all fought with the Brotherhood of mutants. And so, yeah, Kitty ended up saving Jimmy from the Juggernaut. Inside the room Jimmy was in, no mutant's powers would work, and yeah, he then tricked Juggernaut to break in, and then once he tried to smash through another wall, of course wouldn't work, and it would knock him out, which worked. Then Wolverine then came up with a plan to have Colossus actually throw him at Magneto, and yeah, Magneto was, of course, was once again able to like gain control at Wolverine and stop him from moving. And yeah, it ended up distracting Magneto. Oh, and then yeah, Beast was able to actually inject Magneto with a supposed cure to null his powers down. Yeah, and then Wolverine was able to calm down Jean, but then there are more members of the army that arrive and fire at Jean, which once again unleashed the Phoenix, and she ended up disintegrating all of the troops. Then Wolverine eventually realized that he is the only one that can really stop the Phoenix due to his healing power. So he has Storm and everyone else just try to uh, secure everybody else to safety. And yeah, Wolverine then slowly approached the Phoenix, and yeah, a lot of his outfits started to disintegrate, but he was able to, of course, heal from it. And yeah, Jean then was able to gain control of herself momentarily. Then she just asked Wolverine to save her, and then Wolverine then and, and ended up stabbing and killing Jean, which also ended up destroying the Phoenix. And of course, after Jean had died, Wolverine was like still mourning her death. And it showed there were also tombstones made for Jean and Cyclops as well, right next to the gravestone for Professor Xavier. And it showed Rogue back at the mansion, and she revealed to Bobby, Iceman, that she took the cure. And yeah, Bobby wasn't really happy about it. And at the same time, and the X Academy is still open, and now Storm is the head mistress. And the U.S. president is also appointed Beast as a United Nations ambassador. And then it just shows Magneto sitting on his own in a park. And he's at a chessboard, and it shows as he's gesturing toward one of the pieces that are metal. It shows it like just very slightly wobbling, and then the movie just cut to credits. Yeah. But then after the credits, we see Dr. Magtaggart checking on a patient in a coma. And the patient then responds with Professor Xavier's voice. And yeah, the doctor is of course just startled, and yeah, this is shown that Professor Xavier has lived. And yeah, that's how the movie ended. So yeah, like I said, 3 stars out of 4. Or while it does have its problems, and it is the worst X-Men movie, I still do really enjoy this, and I still do think it is a good movie, just not a great movie. Yeah, I mean, it definitely does have some awesome scenes to it, definitely. And yeah, I mean, there is still, like, stuff to like about this movie. Alright, so, yeah, that does for my review of X-Men 3. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, so, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.